Have you been deep into work as well?
It looks like some type of spill on dirt.
No, is it not fun?
That's
Like
one of
you
the
have
city
to go
trash
to
cans
court?
after the fire.
No.
What?
Oh my gosh. No court dates or anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't have
for a
guessed that.
while.
That's a pile of dust.
Meltdown.
It's just dust. A lot of work.
FYI, you guys are live right now.
One of the green ones? One of the green ones? The polycorp
Yeah.
thing?
My goodness.
Yeah, see, he's gonna charge me $55 for it. Replacement.
Like doing
And
the
delivery
cat-
fee.
Good afternoon and welcome to the City Council Finance Committee meeting of Thursday, March 20th, 2025. There are three items on the agenda. The first of these is discussion regarding FYE 25-26 City of Norman budget, Norman Economic Development Coalition Fund. And I don't see anybody here to do that. So let's skip to two because it's queued up. Ms. Curie, you wanna?
Yes. Hi, council, residents of Norman, Finance Committee. So just wanted to come back and present the internal audit strategy to you for the fiscal years 25 through fiscal year 30, just giving us a nice grace period to kind of get this fully implemented and fully integrated into city operations, the function of internal audit. So where are we currently is we currently have a resolution creating policies and procedures approved. Internal audit charter has not received any feedback on updates since I received edits from Mayor Heikula and Councilor Montoya. If there are no other edits, then we can move forward and I can bring that to a conference and it could be approved. Triennial audit plan, we're on the final draft, which will be presented to full council on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, if I have that date correctly, as Brenda informed me. And then the Office of City Auditor Policies and procedures are still in development, but we are still in page 45 of that. So we're rounding to the end of it. Audit case management software, we're in the middle of the implementation of that. So IT has okayed the software that I've chosen for case management. We're just waiting for legal to complete their negotiations on that side. We're currently ending the pre-planning phase of the overtime usage audit. The last day of that pre-planning phase is tomorrow. Planning phase starts on Monday. And then we're here now just presenting the Office of City Auditor Strategy to you. So Principle 9 of the Global Internal Audit Standards, and that's Standard 9.2, basically requires the city auditor or the chief audit executive to develop and implement a strategy for the internal audit function that supports the strategic objectives and success of the organization, which is the City of Norman, and aligns with the expectations of the board, which is City Council or Finance Committee, senior management, and other key stakeholders. The purpose of this is it helps to guide the internal audit function toward the fulfillment of the internal audit mandate in the City of Norman ordinances. Here is the actual strategy. It's on a page, kind of condensed in a way. So the vision that I have is empowering change, enhancing city value. So I know that change is not the most accepting thing that people hear. People don't like change, I understand that, but nevertheless, we are forced to change. When I was a basketball player, my coach would always say, if you don't practice, this game will pass you by. And that's in any industry. So we're not looking for ways to advance, progress, and change the way we do things that create a more effective and efficient operation. We will be left behind. And with all of the ambitious initiatives and programs that we have created in the 15, 16 months that I've been here, I don't expect us to slow down anytime soon. Mission. So the mission that I have for the internal audit function is add value for the city council and city management in advancing the city's objectives by providing an independent source of assurance and consulting services designed to improve performance. How we do that is validating the effectiveness and efficiency of governance, risk, and control processes, providing insight based on knowledge of business and industry best practices, and then being a catalyst for constructive change. So always advocating for change if it makes us more effective and efficient. and then delivering impactful audits and fostering collaboration that enhances organizational resilience, operational efficiency, and public confidence in city programs and services. Now, the goals that I have outlined are five goals, and those goals are make the office of the city auditor a preferred place of employment. And now I know that we are kind of in a standstill as we go through the budget phase, and we are really restricted as to hiring new employees, but nevertheless, this is why this is laid out for 5 years, because I doubt that this status that we're in currently will be a status that we're in a year or two. The next one is be a key resource for the board and management, ensure IA aligns with city strategy, expand audit coverage, and improve IA industry standing. So how we will make OCA a preferred place of employment is by attracting and retaining talented audit professionals with diverse specialized skill sets. So what I would like to do in that is basically post and promote internal audit career opportunities on top career board sites and audit organizations like ALGA, like IAA, like LinkedIn, those type of things when that position is approved. Offering competitive salaries and attractive fringe benefits, offering a hybrid work structure to substitute for the lack of office space contingent on growth beyond a staff of 2. Now, if the office of the city auditor is to grow past a staff of 2 people, because that's what we have right now, office for myself and an office for an additional personnel. But if we were to go to 3 or 4, it's questionable as to where would we be housed. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, I worked in a situation or worked at a place where we would cycle in to the office for a day or 2 to make sure that we have our administrative duties, meet with our managers, and then we work from home partially during the week because of the lack of space. And we would cycle that schedule out. So if that comes to that point where we're limited to 2 offices, but we have 3 or 4 personnel, we could possibly work in a flexible hybrid schedule that way until we find space. Fostering employee recognition and creating employee-specific career development through training and coaching. So that's basically assignments to complex or high-profile audits. Complex meaning involving multiple organizations, multiple agencies, and you may have to be a coordinator or a liaison in that respect. Also, opportunities to represent the city of Norman when attending industry CPE events. When I attended the ALGA event back in February, I was the only one from the city of Norman. And it was a great opportunity to just be able to say I'm from the city of Norman. So being able to represent the city of Norman in these events creates, it brings notoriety to the office. And then providing opportunities to attend that training, receive coaching and mentorship, and engage in career planning. Supporting continual professional education and certification. As we all know, the city of Norman is very invested in its personnel. We budget and allocate budgets for training, for school, for certifications, for licenses. I would like to be an advocate for that if I were to have a team. So basically implementing those flexible schedules, advocating for sufficient budget allocations to the IA training and business travel budget, and then attending virtual conferences and webinars to cost effectively stay abreast of industry standards. Now, a lot of the conferences that I have the opportunity to attend also are offered virtually. So I don't necessarily have to leave the state or spend extra money for travel or hotel to take advantage of the lessons that are taught in those trainings or in those conferences. And that's how I want to be cost effective from a department standpoint. Rotating OTA professionals or Office of the City Auditor professionals on a temporary and permanent basis. This, so just assigning auditors to specialized projects such as cybersecurity or forensic investigations to expand their skill set. It's how I got good at what I do, is being able to be pulled from one thing and then put on another, and being fluid, and just being able to flow with the priorities of your organization. Cross-train internal auditors internally, so subject matter experts in compliance, IT, and operational audits. If I am granted the opportunity to hire, I would be hiring, or I would be looking for specialized or auditors with specialization. So you have IT auditors, you have compliance auditors, and we would basically cross-train each other in our respective specializations just to expand our own skill sets. And then internal auditors will have opportunities to manage and assist lead auditors on large, complex audits, projects, and/or investigations. The outcome of that is an engaged office of the city auditor with a valued resume line. Now, what I see for this is, questions have been posed to me as far as looking for, external contractors or external auditors to come and do some internal work, as far as taking the load off. As much as I understand that being efficient and an easy way to do things, I think the more value way is to actually have that staff in-house. We would get 3 and 4 projects for them for the year rather than 1 for a single price if we hired specialized auditors. Be a key resource for the board and management. So cost effectively execute the triennial audit plan. How we would do that is prioritizing audits based on risk scores using management and council feedback, providing consultations related to new implementations or audit reviews for areas of the least risk. Like I was saying before, when I presented the draft, most of the areas turned out to be low risk. A lot of those can be handled with consultations or reviews rather than a full audit. Providing consultations, just read that one. Creating an audit plan that aligns with city objectives with consideration for the current limited capacity of the OCA. As we know, one employee in the OCA, and you'll hear OCA a lot, I'm trying to brand the internal audit function as Office of the City Auditor, so OCA. We currently only have the capacity to perform 6 audits. And I left room for maybe another one in case an investigation spews from any of them. But there's only 6 audits that I can perform in a 3-year period. If we were to add somebody else, that would turn to 12, and 6, so on and so forth. And then, go back. Demonstrating, let me go back to cost effectively. So, and then that last one is employ subject matter experts to reduce the dependency on external contractors, as I just said. Just always looking outside may not be as valuable as having that knowledge that is historical in-house, where they can build upon it on each audit.
It's sometimes a good strategy to find out if an employee will work, as we've done with auditors before, Mr. Mercer. And it brings good people in and find out if that person can work with the organization.
Right. Okay, so the next one is providing routine updates on the value added through, demonstrating objectivity, independence, and insight. So conforming to the global internal audit standards, including the principles of ethics and professionalism, which is integrity, objectivity, competency, due professional care, and confidentiality. All OCA personnel will be required to sign a conflict of interest declaration annually, and an ethics-based culture will be encouraged and promoted. For providing routines, updates on value added through ACEs, so attending those city council and committee meetings to present audit findings, conducting meetings with management and one-on-one meetings with members of city council to provide audit periodic updates, and then attending management meetings monthly to collectively update management on collective value added through audit recommendations and management's corrective actions when necessary. Validate ERM, so that enterprise risk management and compliance approaches. Just conducting those risk assessments to identify potential compliance gaps, drafting and maintaining comprehensive OCA policies and procedures, offering training and education programs to employees citywide. And we'll get to this at some point, but the chief audit executive is supposed to or required to create a fraud training program that is citywide or disseminated citywide. So that'll be in the works within the next 6 to 8 months. And then performing regular audits and continuous monitoring to provide assurance on those governance, risk, and control processes and enhance city value. The outcome of that is an increased customer confidence in the OCA value proposition. The next goal we have is ensuring OCA aligns with city strategy. How we do that is understanding the city strategy by, of course, reading and reviewing citywide departmental and divisional policies and procedures, bargaining contracts, ACFRs, budget books, meeting minutes, and the like. Conducting meetings with city management, department heads, division managers, division supervisors, and other city personnel, and then attending, watching, engaging in, or making audit presentations at city council and committee meetings to stay abreast of the city's current objectives. Sustaining the enterprise risk management's link to audit planning. So how we'll do that is understanding management's visions for risk management, identifying and prioritizing business strategy risks to city objectives, assessing whether technology is leveraged where appropriate to make processes cost-effective and operationally efficient. Creating insightful, enduring relationships with stakeholders, so incorporating those soft skills such as empathy, open-mindedness, emotional intelligence, adaptability, flexibility, problem-solving, and conflict resolution. Exercising the ability to build trust by communicating effectively and working cohesively as a team towards city objectives, and then showing commitment to stakeholders by consulting early and often to obtain useful information and ideas and ask relevant questions. Delivering findings which objectively assess GRC and provide meaningful value creation opportunities. And so that's just by evaluating and contributing to the improvement of the city's GRC processes using a systematic, disciplined, and risk-based approach, leveraging relationships to coordinate and communicate with management to understand current and past departmental functions and activities, and then providing city council and management with independent, risk-based, and objective assurance advice, insight, and foresight. Also, what we're going to do is provide actionable, cost-effective, and efficient recommendations that enhance city process, programs, and activities. This is important because I can recommend a whole bunch of things, right? Just because I like the idea of them. But if we don't have the ability to do them, whether it's by funding or resources, then it is not feasible, and therefore, what is the point, right? So the outcome of that is we'll have a triennial audit plan which reflects the city's risk profile. Expanding audit coverage. We have an operational audit focus. Those operations include processes, people, and financials. So some of those focuses would be process efficiency and productivity, cost control and resource optimization, and workforce performance and internal controls and then we'll do all of this by analyzing staffing levels, training effectiveness, identifying bottlenecks, redundancies, analyzing budget adherence, procurement processes, waste reduction, and then assess whether spending aligns with strategic priorities. So on and so forth, leveraging industry SMEs or subject matter experts for atypical audit areas. So areas like utilities or sanitation, public works, streets, those type of things. I would talk to people in those areas to gain sufficient information to make a judgment or make an assessment. Ensure fraud is an active consideration in each audit. How we do this is just, like I said, creating those fraud trainings and educating the city overall, each employee about indicators of fraud, how they can identify what it looks like, what a person looks like, or where they may behave like when they are committing fraud, just how to pick up on those things. Encourage the CFE certification for all OCA internal auditors. The CFE is a certified fraud examiner certification. Again, the city is invested and supports its staff better than any city I've ever worked for or witnessed or experienced in any light. So that won't be an issue. Attending industry fraud trainings and conferences. So the ACFE, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, they have events throughout the year that you can attend, whether in person or virtually, to stay abreast of fraud trends and things like that. Grow the OCA bench to match growth pattern of the city. Now, when I look at one auditor to 800 full-time employees, and look at industry standard. Government audit functions are usually smaller functions, or public sector are usually smaller functions. If I were to look or compare our internal audit function to OKC, which is a city of 600,000 plus, they have, I think, a staff of 7. I would hope for a staff of 3 by the end of fiscal year 30, and I think that would be sufficient to get what we need done, completed. So this would, the outcome of this enhanced coverage of top enterprise risk subjects. So if we have people in IT compliant or IT audits and compliance audits, then I can delegate compliance audits to the compliance auditor and delegate IT audits to the IT auditor, and then myself, I could handle financial fraud, fraud investigations or financial audits. Improve OCA industry standing. So basically, when I first was conducting the audit on a friend's house, the city auditor of Oakland reached out to me, and I believe, I can't remember another one, I think it was Kansas, but I don't want to misquote, 2 public sector or governmental audit functions reached out to me, and I couldn't understand why, because we had just started, but it let me know that people are watching and people see it already. So it's affirming, quite frankly. Enhanced data analytics strategy. How I would like to do that is implementing continuous audit analytics software to proactively detect data anomalies or outliers in financial transactions, conflicts and segregation of duties, etc. Now, there is a software that does that. It's called Third Line. It is quite expensive. I also realized that our own enterprise risk management system or ERP system may do that. We are just not maximizing the potential of the functionality of our ERP system.
Is it an add-on module or?
No, it's already in there.
Oh,
It's already in there. It'll let you know if you are over budget in a certain area. You just have to go to that module and actually look. But it's vast with the functionality that it has. We just haven't maximized the functionality of it. So also how I will use data analytics is using historical budget data to flag departments with unusual spending patterns or inefficiencies, implementing live dashboards for city council to track public spending, emergency response efficiency, and policy effectiveness. Now, I like that, right? If you know you're not here every day, but I would like for you to be able to pop open a screen and see what's actually happening, see how much money is being spent, see how budgets are being used, and what they're being used for. That that software, Third Line, has that ability to do that. But we don't, again, trying to be effective, trying to be efficient, trying to be cost effective and cost efficient. And right now that's not possible, but I believe that our current ERP product can do that. We just have to find out how. So a QAP leading to external validation, 2027 Q3. So because we are a public sector internal audit function, we are required to have a external assessment every 3 years. From the date of your first engagement, the date of my first engagement was March 2024. So March 2027 is the deadline for that external validation or external assessment. How that happens is another organization comes in and basically grades our internal function and says what we need, what we're doing right, and what we may need to be doing better. That has to be completed by the third quarter of fiscal year 27. And the reason why I put a QAIP leading to external validation, because it costs more to have them come in and perform a full assessment rather than me assessing myself with council's feedback, of course, management feedback, and then have an external assessor come in and grade that. And then they'll basically say, okay, this assessment is correct or this assessment is not correct. And that will hopefully save the city some money. Publish and present in local, regional, national forums, conferences, and trainings. I have done so before at a federal conference for money laundering. I presented for the city of New York, and I would hope to be able to exercise some opportunities for the city of Norman in that way, is to present maybe how to implement an internal audit function for a government that's never had one. You never know, but just those opportunities and to exercise that, if they come along, I would be able to do that. Employing industry best practices. So again, just following frameworks like the IIA standards, the COSO internal control framework, or the ISO 31000 for risk management, and then utilizing a risk-based audit approach, and then shifting from reactive to proactive auditing by identifying emergent risks. So just being ahead of the game, so to speak. And then what we will have here is a respected and credible internal audit function. This next one is about performance. So 12.2, standard 12.2 of the Global Internal Audit Standards is performance measurement. And these are the 5 bullet points where I will be measuring myself or the performance of the internal audit function. So audit plan completion percentage, so what percentage of the audit plan have you completed? And that is a testament to your effectiveness and your efficiency. Audit reports issued, so how many reports have you issued compared to how many audits you have conducted? Another way to grade your efficiency or rate your efficiency, report cycle time. How long does it take from pre-planning phase to report phase? And that is another test of efficiency. Service quality, so request response time or stakeholder satisfaction. The reason why is because it may be 2 things. Just because management or council requests something doesn't mean it'll turn into an actual audit or review. So I would be limited to rating that based on my response of this is the answer, but there's no review or no further audit required. Or if a full audit or full consultation is conducted, then stakeholder satisfaction will be the metric to grade upon. Number of implemented recommendations that result in desired outcomes. So again, effectiveness rating. How many of your recommendations were feasible for management, right? And how many could they actually implement from a cost-effective and a cost-efficient standpoint? OCA's current structure, just me. Future structure, this is what I hope for. So just one person, the name there is blank, because I don't know what their name is, but hopefully I can put it in there someday soon. Productivity impact, why this is so important is the current OCA capacity, the available audit hours for a triennial period is 4,800, which is 1,600 per year. That limits us to 6 audits per triennial audit period, and then 2 audits per year if priorities remain, meaning if these audits don't turn into investigations, it may be 1 audit, 1 investigation. Could be no audits because an investigation took precedent. As I've said before, investigations takes precedent over regular audits or scheduled audits. Future OCA capacity, what I hope for if I were to get another person is available audit hours would increase to 9,600 hours, still 1,600 per year or 3,200 per year for the 2 of us, and then 12 audits per triennial audit period or 4 audits per year. So with 235 units to be audited, we have 8 audits that are high risk. Only 6 of those can be completed. 2 of those have to move to the next audit period. Where to next? So we are currently in the overtime usage. We're currently conducting the overtime usage audit. We're in the pre-planning phase, as I've said before. Tomorrow is the last day of that pre-planning phase. Planning phase starts on Monday. And then we're gonna, once we finish with that, with all the phases of the overtime usage audit, which will be complete in September of this year, we'll start the credit card usage and process audit. Now, these audits are parallel. We call them parallel because they are auditing the same function with a different purpose. So one is we're going to look at the usage and the other is the process, but because they are of the same function, we're going to basically tie them together and give you one report. Other audit services that are currently happening is, again, implementation of that case management software so we can streamline the audit process. Hopefully, we can get 3 audits done in a year because the case management software is assisting us with streamlining a lot of the manual work. Development and implementation of the fraud training program, development of the QAIP, as I've said, and then consultations from city council and management requests. So just answering those as they come. Any questions?
Questions from council?
Okay, we're gonna get to a nugget then.
Real quick, each audit is about 6 months?
No, so the overtime audit is 6 months. The credit card usage audit is 3 months, and then the credit card process audit is 3 months. So running them parallel, they may not take the full 6 months, but 3 months for each process. Each
Oh, I thought you had earlier it was basically 2 a year. So you
Yes.
get through 6 in 3 years?
yes, with just me.
So that would be 6 months per audit?
Yes,
Average.
yes.
Okay.
But there are only, I think I left at least 6 months of time for other things like admin meetings. I left 800 hours off of that schedule in case an audit or investigation comes at management request, council request, or by way of just doing an audit. A fraud or an investigation may come from an audit.
Would you be able to squeeze in, and really just kind of for discussion, like a hotel motel tax audit?
Yep.
How, I mean, guess you probably wouldn't have any idea how long that would take.
I have 800 hours that we can allot to it, that I left just free and clear. If council would like me to look at the hotel room tax, that's fine. We can add that to the final audit plan.
And then the other one I was thinking of, just because it's a cash business, would be like dispensaries,
Yes, that's been mentioned.
throwing it out there.
That's been mentioned by Darryl. It's on the list. If that's something that you all would like to look at, I would have no problem doing that.
We got the time.
We can add it.
Councilmember, what are you looking for in hotel motel tax? That we're getting our fair share?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I think with the PUDs and ADUs, it could be a difference of things. I think you were saying something before.
Might have been short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals, yeah.
Yeah, there was the thought to study how many there are, what price points they're in the market. Is it a bunch of $200,000 homes, $300,000 homes? Probably not that, but, and then trying to figure out if algorithmic price fixing is in the mix too.
Okay.
For rentals, but maybe not short-term rentals. I was gonna ask, so we could do things like the hospital?
Yes.
Okay, so how long do these take though? Like you say you have 800 hours. If we're talking about 3 potential special project audits on top of what you need to do.
It depends on how council feels the priorities are between those 3.
I would say the hospital should be at the top because it's the public trust part and
Okay,
it has a lot of red flags.
okay. I'm yes,
I can imagine that would take a lot of hours too.
I've already started.
No.
This is stuff I kind of do for fun.
Is it, do you anticipate it's like a 80 hours worth of?
So with the hospital, it depends on what the intended outcome is, for council. If it's just for the facts, I can get you the facts. I'm currently working on a timeline analysis now, trying to figure out how we got to where we are at the current status. And it's providing some historical context, but I would love to build that out for you.
Yeah, I guess the end goal is to have some sunshine on it and so
Some transparency.
yes.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I would kind of second that to say like, let's get a base, kind of the facts audit of what's going on, and then if we identify something that needs further exploration in that, then we can allocate some more of the 800 hours to.
Yep. No problem.
Does that sound?
I mean, it's just the most important one of the 3 offhand.
Yep.
But I am curious about how that money is being spent for the other things,
Okay.
so.
No problem. Thank you. I'll add that to the list, and we will reconvene, on Tuesday when I bring the final draft to you for the audit plan. Some sweet candy I wanted to give you. And I guess it's only sweet for me because I'm the auditor. Okay, so just an update, just a general overview. This is not much detail. I just wanted to give you an idea of what I see and why this has an impact as it does. So this is the overtime usage audit, fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 24. Those dates would be July 1, 21 through June 30, 24. So why you, not why you, but this is a slide I presented to each selected department. And the reason why is because of the risk assessment or the theme that was developed during the risk assessment, which is a lean staff with high production in all departments. So it begs to me of the question of how do we get so much done with so little of a staff? And that led to, okay, let's go look at the overtime accounts. So I looked at the overtime accounts and I observed some departments with over $1 million in deficits. From then, I developed a criteria for selected departments. So all rules must apply. You just can't have one rule apply and then you get chosen. That's not how we do it. The sample that came from this gave me 4 departments or determined 4 departments to be selected for this audit. So if you incurred or were paid overtime between July 2021 and June 2024, you were included in this sample. If your actual expenditures in overtime exceeded 100% or more of the original budget, you are included in this sample. And if you have a greater than $20,000 deficit in any fiscal year between fiscal year 22 and 24, you are included in this sample. What this says to me, why I chose a 3-year period is so that I could assess the trend, assess any growth or any decrease that was happening, and then the percentage used threshold. The reason why it was used is because I wanted to see what departments were using all or more of their original budget that was allocated to them for overtime. And then this actually gave me a population that was too big or included accounts or divisions that were not material amounts, meaning if, I'm just gonna throw out some arbitrary numbers, if your allocated overtime budget was $500 and you happen to spend $1,000 out of that budget, $500 is not really material. We're not gonna go crazy over it. $20,000 though, from my standpoint, a conversation should happen between the manager and the city manager, or the supervisor and the manager, however, so it could be proactively addressed. Where, hey, Daryl, we have now spent $20,000 over the budget. We're gonna have to reassess, maybe make an appropriation, maybe go to council, have a conversation. It is my understanding that those conversations are not happening. So timeline and milestones, just to give council an idea of the calendar or the timeline schedule that will be used for this audit. Like I said, we're in the last couple days of the pre-planning phase. Next week we go into the planning phase, and then we'll do walkthroughs. So I'll observe the overtime process from start to finish in each of those departments that were selected, and then the field work where all of my fun will be had, all of my analysis and gathering analyzing the data for the information I've gathered. And then reporting, which will be the end of the July to August, and then that final report and follow-up where people are glad to be getting rid of me, right? So, and then I'm just gonna go through some numbers just to show council where we are and why this is in the state that it's in. So just to kind of walk you through, these are the deficits of departments that are selected as fire department, parks and rec, police department, and the utilities department. Here you have the 2022 deficits, the 2023 deficits, 2024 deficits, and then I added up the total deficits for the 3 years, and then the total original budget. So it's not that they did not receive the budget allocations. This is the total budget allocations in those 3 years, and then it's the total overtime cost if you were to add the original budget plus their deficit. So
we don't have that on the agenda. The report on the overtime audit.
Yeah, I think I must have understood what you wanted to talk about today, because what I have on there for you is policies and or charter, not an actual report on an audit that you've done. So we might need to take this into next month's meeting or something.
Okay, no problem. Sorry, I was getting to the good part.
No, that was a good tease. Questions on Shakira's policy, the prior presentation, or additions that you want to add to that? All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay. One question before I go. Is there any changes to the internal audit charter before I bring it to council on the 25th? No? No? All good? Okay. Thank you, Finance
Thank you.
Committee. Appreciate your time and your ears.
We really appreciate the work.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay.
All right. Next item, I guess, is Ms. Kim. On item 3, discussion regarding monthly revenue and expenditure reports. Is that you?
Anthony's on vacation,
Yeah.
so Clint and I are both here to answer any
You
questions
got
you might
one
have
on
on
each
the
side.
financial report.
Which one wants to present?
I guess, are we still holding flat,
On sales tax, yes, yes.
but not declining, so.
We're at, let me look at the year to date, I'm sorry. We're just below 1% year to date on sales tax, and we're trying to take that into consideration for the FY '26 budget that we're working on right now.
So expecting it to be 1% less than West.
Ultimately, it's Anthony's decision, but he's been talking about either reducing next year's budget to reflect this year's budget if we were zero, what we anticipate to receive this year, or flat growth over this year's budget.
Well, because it looks like state numbers are down. Everybody else's numbers pretty much are down. And that would be my feeling, is that becomes zero.
And we reached out to like Oklahoma City, and they're doing the same thing. They're actually projecting a 2.5% growth for sales tax next year. But I think we're probably gonna be flat.
Well, and cost of living allowance is gonna be, or inflation, if you want to figure it, it will be 2.5. So it cancels each other out.
Right, and you can see in this chart, they've done a little bit better than we have, year to date.
Is it, what kind of accounts for why they think they're growing by 2%? Is it,
That's a good question. I
Okay.
think it's so minimal that they don't really know, but they are kind of also being proactive in the way that we are, because they're having their staff do 4.5% decreases to next year's budget. That's kind of the same exercise we're working on right now as well.
Okay.
So the word is that, what they told me is they're projecting 2.5% increase, but they're cutting operating costs back 4% in the general fund, so.
But they didn't join the SEC.
They didn't.
All right. Do you want to go through your normal presentation and then
I mean, Anthony
Yeah.
usually just,
everything looked?
right, there's nothing concerning, I think, and he usually just opens it up to questions if you have any questions on the report.
I didn't see anything. Is there anything else from council about the question? That makes it easy.
And then the NEDC presentation, Anthony was going to be pushed back, Daryl had.
Yes, so we heard from Lawrence, and I guess he got caught up on a meeting with an aerospace company that is looking to relocate to Max Westheimer. So hopefully that will come to fruition. So we're gonna push it to next month.
Okay.
So he'll come back
That's already
next month.
taken care of.
did we get their audits? Did those come in?
We got their financials, and I believe they're on for the next agenda.
We're still waiting for their most current audit.
They're, okay.
That would be 24.
budget 23 and 24.
Other thoughts or comments? Well, thank you all. We are adjourned.